Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Martin with The Contoured Chemist. All right guys, so we are back for part 2 of a little color theory, and this time we're talking lip and cheek shades. How to tell if a lip and cheek shade is more warm or more cool. So if you missed part 1, the basics of color theory and eyeshadows, doing eyeshadows for your eye color, go check that out. I'll link it down below. If you want to check out the lip and cheek section, please keep watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for being here. All right, friends, so did almost my full face, right? We got our eyes on, but I never put any lip and cheek on, or lips, obviously. And we're gonna talk a little bit about color theory for lip and cheeks. So in the first half, we went over eyeshadows, which encompasses the entire color wheel, right? But when it comes to lip and cheek shades, it's probably a little bit more obvious that our lip and cheek selections kind of are around one half of the wheel. We're not getting into blue and green, yellow lip and cheeks. We really can add more blue tones to lip and cheeks to pull them cooler, more yellow tones to pull them warmer. But for the most part, we don't have just blue lip and cheeks like we do with eyeshadows, right? So it can be a little bit harder to distinguish if you can't recognize an undertone, or the difference between those tints, shades, and tones that we talked about in part 1. Just like with eyeshadows, lip and cheeks can be more towards the neutral realm. So when they have more gray or brown, when they kind of tend to be pushed more in that middle zone, that's when we call them neutrals. Now, granted, I feel like so many of our shades can be classified as a neutral, but in all honesty, they all kind of push more warm or cool, just like everything else. So you look at our lip and cheeks, right? I would say that we have maybe 4 main classifications of lip and cheeks. I would say as far as color-wise, we have more of those neutral that can have a little bit more towards that brown undertone, but they all have varying degrees of pink or red or orange in them, because we never put just straight brown on our face. That's not exactly the entire purpose of a blush is to add that flush of color to the cheeks. So normally it's going to be in the coral family, the more peachy, orangey undertone that is living in this direction, right? And then we have the pinks. So if you remember, pink is just a red family with white added, okay? Getting these different tints, tones, and shades, right? So most of our lip and cheeks are in that pink family, and all it is just different tints, tones, and shades, but we might have varying degrees of orange in them or purple in them, meaning they can push a pink more towards a cool pink or a warm pink when they get into more of those corally, peachy shades, right? And then we have the straight up reds, which also can push. So I feel like it's hard to have a straight up neutral red. It's hard to have a straight up neutral pink. And I don't think there's anything like a neutral coral, because corals tend to be in the orange family. So when it comes to straight up neutrals, okay? Whoops, sorry, I shouldn't have done that on my middle finger. Neutrals, that is a neutral, that's ballerina, but it really has more of a pink undertone to it, okay? Sadie, okay? So they're all kind of pushed towards, is it more of a cool neutral or a warm neutral, okay? So I attempted to make a graphic so that you guys can have as a resource that will kind of show you the order. Now, it's not perfect, but as you guys know, colors of the tins are very deceiving. Like, for example, Carousel on the picture looks more like a medium, darker pink, but if you actually swatch it, it's extremely sheer. and has more cool, frosty undertones, right? So it's something that you're not necessarily going to be able to tell from the website. You might be able to see it more from a swatch picture, but our 10s are so deceiving. Like, that looks straight up black, yet it's actually very cool because it's got very purple undertones and it's very sheer actually. So that's black cherry. So our lip and cheeks are very deceiving. It is very important to kind of pay attention to swatches and know the color family that you're looking for. So I would say, you know, if you're wanting more red tones, more corally, peachy tones, pinks, neutral, we have them also. I have a graphic where it's kind of showing you list to the warmest in each shade range. For example, Petal, Candy, Pinky Promise. You can probably tell these are all pinks, right? We already established pinks are technically warm because they're made of red, but if you look at them, if they have blue undertones, if they have a titch more purple in them, that pulls them more to the cool side, meaning they're cool pinks instead of warm pinks. Okay, so Petal, Candy, Pinky Promise are all on the cool side. So when you're picking a lip and cheek, sometimes that can make a huge difference versus those warmer pinks, which I'll be honest is what I tend to go for, like Hollywood, La Cienega, and Madrid. Can you tell the difference? You can tell that these shades have a lot more orange in them, okay? Usually a pink with more orange in them gets you closer to that peachy, that corally undertone, which is what these are. So this is Hollywood, La Cienega, and Madrid. So sometimes it's hard to tell until you put them side by side how different a pink can be from another pink. So all pinks are not warm, in my opinion. They definitely are kind of even like eyeshadows, how some are pulled more towards one than the other, but it's being able to recognize the undertone of that shade to where if you put it on and you're like, whoa, that's washing me out, usually that means it's either too cool or warm depending on your skin tone. And then you might need to layer it. You might need to mix it in order to get it to work for you. Also really important when you're learning to mix shades. So my very favorite thing about Seint's 3D foundation and our lip and cheeks is that you can create a new shade every single day. You can layer them for different effects. You can mix them straight on the back of your hand, straight on the face, and get new color combination. You can even scoop some out, put it in an empty tin, scoop some out of another color, which I've shown before as well, and mix them, melt them on the stove or your flat iron or whatever, and make brand new concoctions if you find a new combination you love, so that way you can carry it around in your purse. But knowing how to tweak a shade in order to make it your new favorite sometimes is all about knowing what shade to add. Or you're putting a mixture on your lips and you're like, ooh, it's pulling me too cool. What is a warmer shade in my collection that will then take away that cool tone, add some warmth, and get it to balance? Because it's just like with eyeshadows, just like with balancing the lip and cheeks when you're wearing a shade that's too warm or too cool. Sometimes you have to add one of another tone, right? So if something is too cool, add some warmth and vice versa. So I hear it a lot when it comes to certain lip and cheeks. So nude, I hear a lot of times people say it washes them out, it looks brown. And an easy solution is to just top it with something warmer. So nude is one of those that I feel like is probably one of our most neutral shades. You can probably tell one of the closest to, I'm not saying it's brown, but it's one of the closest to neutrals that we have, right? And then in comparison, Plum, you can tell, has more purple in it, which makes it more cool. And then Sandstone has more red and orange in it, making it more warm. So even though those colors can be very neutral on the face, depending on application, you might try a color like nude and it might wash you out because it's too cool for you, because it is a little bit more on the purple end than warm end in my opinion. But it will highly depend on your skin tone. So sometimes that is just topping it with something warm. Let's see if I can do this. Putting a gloss over it. Do you see how now it looks so much less brown? That was just La Cienega over it. Okay, and it doesn't mean that you can't wear that shade. It just is changing the way it looks on you. So for me, that is always the most apparent when it comes to my lips. So let me show you what I mean. I'm just gonna quickly line my lips and add some lip conditioner. Okay, I'm gonna add nude with my finger. Okay, so watch. Okay, so do you see how washed out that color can make me? It almost pulls more towards the purple gray side, okay? Because we talked about in the last video, gray, black, excess blue, purple, cool, right? So knowing that, what does that mean? I need to add warmth. So that's when I come over to my collection and I'm like, okay, what can I mix it with? Well, first you need to know, do you want an all matte lip? Do I need to mix it with something warm and matte to give me an all matte look? Or do I want to top it with a gloss? Do I want that sheen? Do I want something just barely gonna change it? Something very sheer, okay, but slightly warm, like that was Boardwalk, Desert Sunset, something like that. A little bit more pigment, but glossy, add some shimmer like La Cienega, or something like that Madrid, which is also matte, but we'll add that warmth. So let's try Madrid. And suddenly it wakes up my face. And I have a brand new color. Okay. And if you're like, well, I still don't like that. Like, it's too matte. It's too dull. I want more of a pop. I want something maybe glossy, but kind of a brighter look to my lips. Then, what about that? Okay, warm, definitely warm. It's in the coral family. This is Venice. You can add as little or as much as you want. I just dabbed in once, and that's all I'm gonna use on my full lips. It's gonna add gloss, and it's gonna brighten, but it's still kind of in that same general color family as Madrid. So it doesn't change the color too much, but it adds just that little something. So that is my thought process when I am experimenting with color combinations, when I'm trying to adjust, when there's something I don't like, when I'm like, that just looks off or it's washing me out, I need to add the opposite, okay? So first you gotta depict, why is it washing you out? Is it too warm or too cool? It can totally be either, in my opinion. I feel like fairer skin tones tend to get washed out with warmer shades, and I'm naturally warmer. So if I'm wearing an all cool shade, I tend to get washed out. Also, shades on your lips that are too light can easily wash you out. If they're lighter than your natural lip color, it's gonna wash you out. So you'll need to add a darker shade to kind of darken it up, or use a darker contour color to line your lips, like bump up to Astoria or Indigo, something like that. Okay, so I'm gonna add some pictures of some different color combinations on the lips so you guys can see kind of how you can use warm and cool in order to make your own custom colors. But just know, it's all in what colors you're choosing. So sometimes I find that having, in my opinion, there's no such thing as too many lip and cheeks. I'll just get that off my chest because I mix them all, but there's a method to my madness, and it's in having different kind of tones at different darknesses. So having those like cooler light shades, and then having those darker warm shades, and kind of having one at each. I'm not saying you have to have every medium matte pink, okay? Some of them are very similar, and some are just a little bit warmer or cooler, right? But having a darker warm shade and a darker cool shade like sandstone and plum will allow you to really adjust shades. And the same thing goes with having those lighter shades. So if you, depending on your skin tone, obviously, and what shades you can easily wear, like for me, I can't wear Petal on my cheeks. It's just too light. It washes me out. But this color is amazing over anything darker. So something darker and warmer like Royal, and then something lighter like Petal, and suddenly you're making all kinds of new color combinations. Right? And the same goes with having a mixture of those matte satin shades and those more gloss and semi-gloss shades will allow you to kind of get the glow when you want it, or that all matte look when you want it, and will give you a lot more versatility in your routine. All right, so the same thing goes with cheeks. Okay, shades like this. Some might call this pink. I don't call this pink. This to me is coral. And that's because it is a pink. Where's the red? That has a lot more orange in it. Can you see that? Okay. The undertone does not go cool whatsoever. It goes warm. Okay. Now, being able to see that will enable you to easily adjust, because you know that a coral is more of a warm undertoned pink. Yes, it might be still somewhat in the pink family, but the same thing goes with Frenchie. So many people say this is pink. I don't think this is pink at all. It's peach. Okay? And it is a very neutral peach. So it is like in this red orange family with a lot of gray in it, meaning it's a tone and it's got a lot of neutrality to it. All right. So this is a color that tends to wash people out. I know for me on my lips, this washes me out. And it's not because it's too cool, it's because it's too warm. Okay. So sometimes the same goes with warmth, and you might need to adjust it. So let's go the opposite, and we're gonna add Frenchie to the cheeks. And I feel like this is such a neutral shade. And again, I like to call everything neutral. Okay, so I don't feel like this is washing me out at all today, because I had a base of Bella and Glow on, and so I had a lot of warmth in my cheek already. But on days when I am feeling washed out and I use a color like this, guess what? It's gonna make me look more washed out. And it's because I didn't have any warmth in my skin. So when this is too warm and you need to cool it down, same principle applies. We're gonna then pick something cooler to put over it. So one of my favorite neutral cool undertone shades is Summer Love. This is very much a neutral pink, but can you see that tint of purple undertone? Okay, that is that cool undertone that makes it really a great shade for kind of cooling down warmth. So and it's also a glossy shade, so it's a great topper to add that glow. And I totally applied too much, but that's okay. We'll just even it out. The great thing about our lip and cheeks, they will die down after a few seconds, and you can always perfect. And if you still have too much, guess what? Just grab your highlight brush. A little dip happy sometimes. Okay, so that's Frenchie. You can cool it down with a little bit of a cooler shade like Summer Love, and it gives you a new combination, adds that glow, and creates a little bit of balance if you feel unbalanced. Okay, friends, so I was trying to make this one short and sweet since we went a little longer in the first one. So if you missed color theory, go back and look at part 1. It kind of explains a little bit more detail if you are struggling on being able to recognize which way a shade is pulling or an undertone of a color. Check out the graphic, and I will add those color combinations that you can check out as well. Have fun mixing. Lip and cheeks and eyeshadow combinations are the most fun part of makeup and a part of your everyday routine. This is why ever since I started wearing 3D foundation, I don't wear the same colors 2 days in a row. It's always different, and it makes getting ready so much fun for the day. If you have any questions on combinations or a color you might have tried and you're like, I don't like it on me, I can totally give you a suggestion for a color that might be perfect for you to mix it with so that you can still use that shade in just a new, fun way and be able to get it to work for your skin. As always, if you're needing a color match or needing any help with your Seint 3D foundation, I am more than happy to help. My color match request is in the Dropbox in the link below the video, and you can send me all of your preferences for how you like to wear your makeup, and I will send you a customized match just for you. As always, thank you guys so much for being here and checking out both videos, and I will see you guys next time. Love you.